Hello everyone, welcome back to Yokai Temple, and today once again we are looking at Botania. So, things have gotten a bit more complex over here, a bit more than I had actually intended, because I filmed this episode once before and my commentary completely corrupted, so I basically had to abandon ship. But anyways, our Hitodama is still in the sky. I don't think I can actually name tag him, so if we actually figure out a name for that Hitodama, then we're probably going to have to just add it in as like a sign somewhere. But more or less, everything's kind of the same around here. We've got the two pure daisies, so I have managed to make a fair bit of living wood and living rock. Let me see, living wood and living rock. And I made a bunch more mana spreaders, so yeah, that's a little lower than it was when I started. Also, over here at the village, there's about 3 more houses that have roofs on them now. So there's Risato's original house, there's Katashi's house, and there is the house that currently Risato and Akane are sharing. All of the houses still have pretty barren interiors. I'm planning on making the interiors basically the last thing that I add, and I really want to make something special with this central kind of building. I want to make something interesting about that. We've had a few updates, so let me actually just hop down here. So the first one is that Chisel has been updated now, so we have the paper wall block, which is great because it means that Endo's pathfinding doesn't get messed up as often. And we also have Melisis's doors. So these are really beautiful, and the first most obvious thing that they do is they alter the vanilla Minecraft doors, so that they actually animate now, which looks really cool, and also double doors open as one unit, which makes it fantastic for the Ancient Warfare units, who are kind of silly. But it adds a bunch more doors as well, so there's this wonderful Shoji door, which unfortunately the Ancient Warfare units don't recognize, but that makes it so I can kind of have my own little, axis way that they don't use most of the time, at least. That's really nice. There's a bunch of doors, it's like force field and everything. No new villagers, but I have an idea for what one of them is going to be getting up to. So, basically, I made a new plant, and then I lost basically all the footage for this. So, we are making the Gourmaralis. Now, this is a mana production flower. We presently have 3 day blooms and 2 nightshades on a Gourmaralis. And it was all fitting for this one mana spreader into this one mana pool, which thankfully is just barely all in the chunks that we have loaded. So it is reasonably charged at the moment. But this is all really, really, really slow. So what the Gourmaralis does is it eats food, and it will generate a reasonably good sum of mana for a number of seconds equal to how many haunches of hunger it would recover. So the steak here will recover 4 seconds, and the cup of tea would be for 2, and the melon slice would be for 1, so on and so forth. There's a little bit of management to be done with it, because it will continually eat food as it gets dropped down near it, but it only produces as long as it's got one of them. Anything it's consumed whilst it's producing is wasted. So it's a little bit of a management issue, but we can sort that out later quite happily. But this turns the already prodigious food supply of Yokai into an actual mana resource, which is pretty damn cool. So how do we make this thing? Well, it's a bit on the tricky side. So, here we are. In the Petal Apothecary, we need a mystical light grey petal, a light grey mana petal, 2 yellow mana petals, and a mystical yellow petal, as well as a mystical red petal, and a rune of fire and a rune of summer. Now, these two are by far the hardest parts of this to get, and we need to make them inside of a runic altar. So, over here is a runic altar, because I made one already in the first time I recorded this episode. I might be whining about that a little bit for the majority of this episode, because it's like 20 past 5 in the morning, and I only just discovered that I have to refilm this whole episode, so yes, yeah, my sleep schedule is dying. Anyways, so the runic altar is just made with sort of an upside down boat shape of living rock, and then a mana pearl or a mana diamond, which is just an ender pearl or a diamond in a mana pool. Fairly straightforward, not unlike how we got our actual mana pool from the diluted. And then you need to put mana spreaders around pointed using the bind mode of your Wand of the Forest, to target the runic altars. So these three are all aimed. I originally just had the one, and it was really slow, but now it's full, so yay. Hopefully this will move a bit faster, because this takes quite a bit of time. So the first one that we're going to be making is the Rune of Fire. Now let's just take a look at exactly what that requires. Doop. So it requires 3 mana steel, a nether brick, gunpowder, and nether wart. Now, thankfully, I have most of this. So let me see. It is nether brick, gunpowder. Good. So nether wart, nether brick, gunpowder, and we get our mana steel. You can do this. You can do this with individual ingots, or you can do this with just like an actual full block of iron. But we are looking for apparently getting rid of this. Hang on. Let's see. Axe. There we go. Axe body spray for when your mana spreader isn't behaving properly. And where did... Oh, it must have got my mining bag. Hang on. Where are you? There you are. Good. Good block of iron. So, toss it in. Toss it in. Come on. Jeez, this is not behaving. Right. Iron block. Toss in. There we go. Block of mana steel. Right, so that just gets us our mana steel ingots. You can use these for a large number of things. It's the bottom tier of magic material inside of Botania. After this is Terra Steel, and after that I believe is another one, but I can't recall what it is exactly. But suffice to say, this goes into a ton of stuff, which we'll probably get into later. But for now, we just need 3 of these in here. And then we hit this with the Wand of the Forest. Okay, so now we are getting mana by the buttload into this. So let me plonk this back, bind it to here. Okay, and now things are progressing quite nicely. So if I hover over this with my Wand of the Forest, we can see that there is a little rotating timer going, and that's because the runic altar needs to build up a ton of mana to actually finish this. So I am just going to fast forward through this so you guys don't have to watch it. Okay, so engage caramel mode. Alright, so now we have the lightning. So on top of this, we now need to throw a piece of living rock. Okay, so there's our living rock. And then we need to give it another whack with the Wand of the Forest, and that will give us our Rune of Fire. So the Rune of the Fire, and the other runes in fact, are basically the expensive things that you use for crafting. I don't think they have any actual like purpose in and of for themselves, which is a bit of a shame. I really don't particularly like it when these mods have like different things that are just crafting items. That's not like my really major like favorite thing. But anyways, next we need the Rune of Summer. And this requires the Rune of Air as well as the Rune of Earth. Let's get started with the Rune of Air, because it's the easiest, because it's 3 mana steel again. Most of the basic elemental runes require 3 mana steel in them. A carpet, a feather, and a string. So, chuck those in. At least carpet comes in, like, freeze, so I didn't have to, like, remake that after I bungled the first episode here. Okay. And let's get you moving. This is mostly where I hope that we have enough mana in this pool. But it survived reasonably well when I was doing this, like, the first time, so I should be alright. Alright, re-engaging caramel mode. Okay, so there we go. Kind of came on a bit quietly there, but oh well. So, toss our living rock in, and plume! Our Rune of Air. Now we just need the Rune of Earth. And yes, I know Caramel Dancing is not actually, like, Japanese. I am mostly just doing that for the lols. Okay, so stone, block of coal, and mushroom, plus the 3 mana steel. Doop. Stone, block of coal, mushroom, and the 3 mana steel. Doop, doop, do. And go. So, basically, this is just getting us our crafting ingredients, and this is interesting because, to the best of my knowledge at least, there is no way to automate the runic altar. Now that might change, I'm sure somebody in the comments will convince me otherwise, but I'm trying actually to go into Botania a bit more blind than I usually do. I'm still trying to be as informative as I can, but it's been a very, very long while since I've done a mod that I knew basically nothing about. Like, Botania is pretty much all new to me. For example, I still have absolutely no freaking clue how to get Dragonstone, because I can't find any data on it anywhere. But, ooh, there we go, already filled. I'm so glad I made the other mana spreaders there. Huh, okay. So that gets us Rune of the Earth. Probably easy to just grab these, but still. So now we need the Rune of Summer, which is a Rune of Air, a Rune of Earth, a Melon, a Slime Ball, and 2 Sand. And you only get one of these. It is worth pointing out. Like, you get 3 of the basics, but you only get 1 of these compounds, if you will. So that should be everything. There we go. Okay. So the plan with regards to the Gormarillis is that we'll have a number of them around. Like, having the 1 here helps. We're about to have 2. But we will put these together, and then we will have a system with a timer that knows exactly what it's receiving, so that it knows exactly how long it has to run. So, for example, if I'm just feeding them steak, then it needs to run for 4 seconds between feedings of each individual one. And then we will have a villager. I'm thinking I'll use Mizuki Ayu, or Ayu Mizuki. I know I got an ask telling me that I had to reverse that, but I can't remember which way it was reversed, so sorry. Also, it is like 5:30 in the morning. I'm a little bit loopy, as you might have guessed from the caramel mode. Anyways, this has now finished. So, yeah, having the 3 of those makes this a lot faster. I only have to ramble on for a teeny bit of time. Whoop. Nope. Bad. Bad living rock. Okay. Rune of Summer. So now I just need a little bit more of use of the mana pool, because I need to get some mana petals. So we need, let me see, 1 mana petal of light grey. And I did spend quite a while running around just getting, like, a whole bunch of flowers after what happened last time. As well as 2 of yellow. And that should be all of the ones that we need, I believe. He said, no longer certain. Okay, so we need those in mana petal form, and we need these 2 in regular form. And then we need a Rune of Fire, and a Rune of Summer, and I believe that's everything to make the Gormarillis. So, let's give this a shot. Ooh, quick lag spike there. Whoop. Okay, so, Mystical Yellow Petal. Mystical Yellow Petal. Light Grey Petal. Okay. And do I need a regular petal? Yes, I do. I do need 1 regular yellow petal. Fortunately, I managed to find quite a few yellows in my escapades looking for more. There we go. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 ingredients for the Gormarillis. Let's just check if that's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have overestimated somewhere. Where have I overestimated? So it's definitely 3 of the yellows, it's definitely 2 of the greys, it's definitely 1 red. 2 of the greys, 1 of the red, 3 of the yellows. Did I miscount? 1, 2, 3... Yes, I did. So it should just be 8. Yep, good. Okay. So let's just do this the quick and easy way. So, boop, 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 boop. And a boop. Okay. And that gets us our Gormarillis for Yokai des. Vazki has put in a bunch of Japanese phrases, mostly coming from anime, so I'm not necessarily capable of translating them. But let us put this where it's going to get some reception. Now, I think more or less anywhere past here is outside the loaded chunk, so I'm going to plonk it there. Let's just check this actually connects. Let's go to our binding mode? Yep, good. Let's bind you to that one, so that we know that you'll all be able to actually get this right. Ha! Okay, so Glomeralis is going to be our primary supply of high yield mana. I hope you've enjoyed this largely less error-free, at least, look at making the complex plants. One other thing I do have to mention very quickly is that someone mentioned in the comments that you are better off doing a sort of like crosshatch pattern as opposed to a full grid when you're making these day blooms and such, because they produce mana a lot less frequently and such when they are right next to each other. This is correct. It creates a sort of kind of feedback, but it is perfectly fine right now. I could probably do with having them like right next to different kinds, but for now we're just gonna leave it because I want to move on to the Glomeralis as quickly as I can. So nom on that, and nom on that, and that should give this thing quite a lot of mana to chew on. Yep, look at that. So much mana. Wonderful. And we barely actually used any mana from making that whole thing, so that's pretty good. So it must just a matter of gathering all of the ingredients. But anyways, with that, I leave you with a fairly brief, but a time-lapse nonetheless, of building the 3 roofs. I hope you enjoy that, because I need to go sleep. And with that, I shall catch you all next time.